Hello all, welcome to channel 11. Today I am going to give some code walkthrough about how to do CRUD operation in .NET Core. This is my first application. I am working on .NET Core, so I learned something and I would like to share to you all. This is code walkthrough. I'm not going to details how it is executing in behind. So I'll just show you where are the places I have placed the code to communicate database and do insert, update and delete operations using .NET Core. So in this exam, this is my application. We see that book list browser or book list Razor actually. So this is the Razor pages I have used. I have not used MVC. So since it has the model controller as well as view page. So its views means normally if it is MVC it has views. Since I'm using Razor pages and we have the pages, and if you observe here there is no controller and code inside the controller folder, so it's not MVC. So this is the Razor pages. So I would like to show how easy in Razor pages and what are the changes I would like to show you along with that. So functionality, as I mentioned, this is the book list, and whenever the page loads you will see that books list details, and if user wants to create he can create and he can edit and delete. And I will show you the, I think I have already opened, this is my page, book list page. And if you see that this is my home page, book list Azure is home page, and this is where I have implemented my sample. So at present it is empty. So whenever user wants to create any book, you can go and the author is Mike and ISBN number, then I can create. So if whenever I click the create, so it is going to save the details in database and it's going to show it here. This is the my home page, index page, and if user wants to delete, you can delete that. And again I will create, since I have deleted my record, and so if user wants to edit, this is my edit, and my Tom update, so it get updated. So this is my functionality. Now I will show you how I implemented in .NET Core. So I am from .NET standard background. I don't have any knowledge on core. So this sample I learned from the Google, one of the websites, and I have implemented here, and I would like to show. And so since this is the folder structure when you create the Razor pages, Razor pages. So if you observe here .NET Core, in ASP.NET standards we will have web.config, and all the changes wherever required come. We have web.config, so all our database details and some security and configuration keys will be stored in web.config. If you see this application, we don't have web.config anywhere. So I think you might wonder how we can store that communication, I mean database connection string details here. So soon I will going to show you that location. And if you see here, we have the program.cs, and this is the starting point to run this application. And if you open the program.cs application, this is the code. And this, since I have created .NET Core 3.1, So this code is already provided by when so means this template. So I have not written any code. By understanding this code, it's internally creating host, and it is building and running that host. So this code is internally it will create one website host in IIS or some. There is a different mechanism in .NET Core creating host and run. So this is going to decide. This line is going to decide. So internally call this create host static class, and after that it's going to build and it is going to run that. And if we observe here, whenever creating builder, it's going to call one more class. So in startup, if you see here, it is setting here. So this is a startup class where we will decide what are the means how we need to run this application. We can decide in startup class. So let me go and work in the startup CS file, and if you let me minimize. So in startup we will have configuration service and configure. So as name suggests, configuration service, we all will register all our service here in this method, and in configure, in this method we are going to use that service for our application. So suppose let's for example here, so as I mentioned, so I wanted to use one of the database to this application to communicate all our CRUD operations. To do that, we need to first configure that class to in this application in startup.cs class. So this is the how we can register our service, means our DB context service. I mean, here it is saying service. Indirectly, we are just registering our DB context class. I'm saying service dot add DB context. So this is my DB context class. So I am already created on DB context class. So I am adding that context to in the service section. And here if you observe here, at the same time I am passing connection string also to my DB context. So this is my connection string. So as I mentioned, this is walkthrough. I'm not explaining what the Git packages are used and all. So I'm so this explanation will help us who already know about that some background about topic. In option, I am passing my connection string using this code. So to get, so if you observe here I am passing my connection string. So configuration dot get connection string. So what is this configuration is? This is my configuration. So I configuration having one interface, it is the responsibility to get all the configuration details. So I am registering that configuration to my local variable. So here I'm going to get all the configurations related to my project in this variable. From this variable, I'm just reading that get connection string. So as I mentioned, this is the responsibility to get all the configuration details by using key evaluate. So I am passing my key here. So you might wonder what is where I have registered this default connection. So as I mentioned previously, ASP.NET Standard we have the web.config. So here we don't have. So to store all our configurations, connection strings, all we have to. There is a one JSON file called app settings. This is the place we will store all our configurations. So in core we have different ways we can create the configurations. This is one way. This is one option. So we have, I think around 4 to 5 options we have. We can store our configurations. One option is app settings. So in app settings section JSON file, I am created one key value that is called connection, and in connection string section I have created one key and value. So this is the where I am declared my connection DB connection details. If you observe here, this is my default connection key. This is the value. This is where the database is resides. So in this connection, this is the database. This is the server, and this is the database book list Azure. So in this startup class, I am mentioning that go and get the connection from this configuration and use that connection to my DB context. So I am registering my DB context under the configuration service. So yeah, so this is my registering my DB context as well as connection string. If you observe here, this is the configuration. So once you add that, if you so this is the for DB connection. Suppose let's take you wanted to use in .NET Core for Azure pages. So in .NET, as we know that we have to configure whatever we require in our project. So in .NET Expert standards, we will have if you create the project, in template itself is going to provide some predefined settings, but here you have to decide based on your requirement. Suppose if you want to use Azure pages, you have to add the Azure pages in configuration section, and you have to use that in the configuration method. So here I have set my Azure pages I want to use. So I have created my service. I am using my after I add. So I am using that Azure pages. To use that pages, yeah, I have mentioned here. So use endpoint. So suppose if you don't mention this sections here, so your Azure routing won't work. So as I mentioned, you have to add and you have to use those. Since I wanted to use my Azure pages, I have registered here. Register as well as here, and I have created my I have added to pipeline also. So that's it. Right word is pipeline. So I added my pipeline here endpoints. Once this settings is done, and so I have created my I have configured my DB context along with my connection string. I have also enabled Azure pages for this application. So once I do did that, so then I can able to access my Azure pages from the browser. So here for Azure pages we have model as well as pages. So whatever the wanted to access the .html page, you have to add those pages inside of pages folder. So I think you are aware of some information about the shared folder. You already come from MEC. I think you are aware of that shared folder. What is the purpose of shared? What is purpose of layout and view start? And so I think for a layout, so if you want to give unique view, look and feel, header, footer, and all. So those information will put in layout pages, and only section if you want to render page, so we will mention that into. So this is my home, means my look and feel, and here my all pages will render here. So this remaining section will be common for all pages. So this is my layout page, master page indirectly, and all my book list CS pages, means Azure pages I have created here. This is a create, this is for edit, this is for index home page. And let me go and open one. I will explain for index CH. So if you observe here, indirectly we have the code file available. Suppose if you create any page, so along with the .chtml file, it will also create code file for you. So for this index.chtml, code file is index.chtml.cs. So if you whatever you declared here, it will directly accessible to the chtml file. So let me close and open html. This is my UI page. This is my code behind page, indirectly speaking. So whatever the public variables here, it will directly accessible to .cshtml by declaring your model. So this is my model. Indirectly, my index model is class is my so index this class is my model to my .chtml file. In MVC, we have to declare view model, but in the regular places, by default, it is the model will get created for CSHTML. So all public variables methods will directly access to my CSHTML. I think it's pretty cool compared to standard Razor. I think this is I feel very easy. So for example, if you observe here, book is my one of my public property. So I have directly access to my CSHTML books model.books. So if you so I think you got some information. So here if you observe here I am whatever the books list I am looping those using for each in table to display all the values. So here I am mentioning my if you see here, this is my home page. So this is my book index page, and so this information I am generating here. If you this is my submit, this is my edit button. Whenever user edit, so I'm saying that go to this page with this route ID. So it will directly come to this page with the get. So it will go and come and here showing. So so I hope you understand what I am trying to say is. Uh, so once so this is so I think you are aware of .NET Core. By default it is maintain the dependent injection for you. So here I have not added anywhere means explicitly mention anywhere dependent injection. So if you see startup.cs, so what I have declared is so db context. So it is so I have it is itself is creating assigning this object whenever you is trying to access this class. So .NET Core itself is creating object for AB as application DB context and assigning that object to this temporary variable by once you declare those here in this context section. So once you declare your DB context like this, .NET Core itself is going to create object explicitly and assigning that object to here to access your DB context. So runtime is going to create DB context for you. From this DB, you are going to access your database and getting fetched your data. And let me go and show you that my DB context. So this is my DB context, and I think you are aware of that what is DB context. How can you means what is the purpose and all. So I have created my own DB context, my class from inheriting DB context, and I'm assigning to I created a means constructor, and this option I'm passing back here. So here I am specifying in my startup class, I'm specifying my connection string. It will get assigned to my DB context base class. So from there, see this application DB context then can able to access the database and get the details for book. So here I'm in index.cshtml. I'm fetching those details book from the database and I'm assigning back to my DB uh, to my property and on post. So this is my on the load of index. This method will get on get will get called, and whenever user click the delete, this method will execute with ID, and it's going to first get the details from the book table, and from the book it is getting removed and saving into the database. Again read it. So this is how it will execute. I think I click edit. I hope you understand what I am from this demo, how we can communicate the database and get the details. So I will summarize it again. First, to communicate the database, first you need to create the section connection streams section inside the app settings.json file with key and valid database connection. And after that, in the startup class, we just need to register that DB context class inside of configuration service like service.add DB context, and from the configuration interface we can read that connection string like connection string dot get connection string with this code and use SQL server. And after this is after declaring this, then you can ready to communicate the database like so like this. We just need to create the constructors for the class, and we just need to add the DB context class here. So the .NET Core will automatically pass that object and store into temporary variable and do your operations. Please let me know to share this code. I can share my GitHub, and please watch my videos.